A real leader is best when it's worse.
As leaders, we need to make sure that we are equipping our team with everything they need for success. I'm going to keep doing work that I'm proud of. If you're not excited to get out of bed and go do the thing, and more importantly, if your team can't, buy into that vision, then what's the point?
Because it's hard. And the real issue is who you are when it's hard is the whole game.
If you're honest with yourselves, a lot of the things you do out there, you probably would like to do a little bit different. Take the time to figure that out, because if you do sit down and you strategize it, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can come up with a better solution. Hello and welcome to episode 400 of the Site Shed podcast. Now, this episode is not going to be a curation of all of the great episodes that we've done over the years. Actually, in this episode, I'm going to run through a really simple formula which I've been using for myself and for the business in relation to things that you should stop doing, start doing, and keep doing. Now, this podcast has been broken into a couple of different sections. Firstly, personal, and the reason I want you guys to hear this is so that you can kind of cast a bit of vision as to, or especially the correlation between these personal, what do I call these, I suppose, observations, and how it relates to business. Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in business, or we get so caught up in doing personal things that we forget that essentially our business is a reflection of us. And we do need to spend a bit more time, joining the dots there to create that little ecosystem and that harmony between, yourself and the business that you own, operate, run, or even perhaps work in. So before I jump into this episode, I do want to just give a little bit of a recap. So, episode 400, wow, crazy. So it's going to be coming out in, I guess, March of 2024. I started this podcast back in February of 2016 as a way that we could just add a little bit more value to a slightly larger scale on business-related information for the trades specifically. So I used to be a plumber myself, and when I was working and going through the trade and, starting my business and all that kind of stuff, didn't really have a lot of access to information that, I think now, with the advancements of things like podcasts and, lots of great coaching programs and things like that, there's an abundance of that around these days. However, it was really as a way for me to give back to the trades. And it's been an amazing journey, I'll be honest. I'm not going to go specifically into, episodes and things that, over the last, few years that we've been doing this show. Well, actually almost 8 years. However, we've had guests. If you're tuning into this show for the first time today, we've covered all different types of topics that relate to trade businesses, everything from marketing through to different softwares, different strategies, different mindset, leadership, anything that you could possibly think of after 400 episodes, we've pretty much covered. And, it's interesting now as we're going, as this journey continues, we sort of find ourselves now going back and I suppose putting a version 2.0 of a lot of the topics that we've done in the past to bring them up to speed. Because, over the course of, the last 8 years, a lot of stuff has changed. And so there's slightly different spins on things that we've covered. And it's nice to see that evolution. And it's great to get the feedback from you guys as well on, things that you see working and content that you like to consume. And, we wouldn't be doing this if you guys weren't enjoying it. So I want to start firstly by asking you, if you do enjoy the show, please head across to iTunes or YouTube or whatever it is, our Facebook page, and leave us a review. We'd love that. That'd be amazing. I was really big on that in the early stages, and then I realized it just sounded like a bit of a pest. So, but anyway, episode 400, I would really love it if you guys do take the time. It'll only take you a couple of minutes. We'll put some links in the show notes if you want some shortcuts to it. But yeah, leave us a review. That would be amazing. And then looking forward, if there's topics that you do want to hear more about, or if there's something that we have covered in the past and you want me to, cast a new layer of sort of like bringing it up to speed on something specifically, then let me know. Like you can always send an email to info@thesiteshed.com. Wherever you get our emails come through on different episodes that we've launched, you can reply to those emails. If you see this come through in social media, you can leave a comment there. And please do, guys, like make this podcast like your tool for collaboration. Like if there's things that you want to learn more about, use it. Like that's what it's there for. So anyway, as I mentioned before, I'm going to break this into two different parts: personal and business, and the stop, start, keep. Now, the stop, start, keep formula is actually a really powerful meeting structure, and I encourage you guys, if you haven't heard of it, I know I've spoken about it on the show before, but it's a great way for you to involve your team on things that obviously you should stop doing. You can do this at different levels of the business too. You can do it at one-on-ones, you can do it at management, you could do it at department, you could do it at overall business. Like we have an automated message that goes out to our entire team in the lead up to our quarterly meetings, and it's stop, start, keep. What should we stop doing? What should we start doing? What should we keep doing? And, it's just a way to involve your team members and let them have their say, because quite truthfully, as you grow and as your business grows, there's things that you probably are likely to not see as well as you might have when the company was a little bit smaller. So you want to involve your team members there, especially if they're down there in the trenches, because chances are they've found better ways of doing something, and if that's the case, that should be music to your ears, not necessarily a red cross against their name for, trying to overrule you or something. Like that should be something you're like, great, let's do that. And we see it a lot now, like especially with the advancements of, artificial intelligence and all these great tools and things like that. Like there's very often a way to do something better. And so involving your team in that conversation really does make them feel empowered and make them want to be able to contribute and or enable them to contribute, I should probably say. And it also takes a bit of pressure off you, because it means you've got now, resources there from people that, are willing to invest and willing to contribute to the holistic growth of your business. So I'm going to start with some things which I know personally I need to stop doing. And that first starts with procrastination. And I think we're probably all guilty of that at times. But, on the flip side of that, what I need to start doing is make, faster decisions and better decisions. So might sound obvious, but I know if you're anything like me, sometimes you find yourself just sitting there going, why am I even thinking about this? Or more to the point, you have a gut feeling and you're procrastinating on that gut feeling. And so often that gut feeling is right. It might be about a team member, it might be about a client or a project or something that you're doing. I personally want to do a better job of making decisions that I'm pretty sure are right, and stop procrastinating about like these little things that it might come as, a side effect of me doing it. Because leaders do make decisions fast and they move on and they deal with it, and some of those will turn out well. Some of them probably may not turn out as well as you'd like, but the reality of the business, you just have to start making decisions. The next thing I want to do more of is like stop time wasting. Find myself all of a sudden just stuck in these silly time suck tasks, or not even tasks, truthfully. Like a couple of months ago, I deleted Instagram off my phone because I was like, I don't know why I'm just sitting here scrolling through these and sending like memes and stuff to my mates. Like, sure, it's fun and it's funny, but is it really adding value? And the answer is, for me, certainly not. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in doing something, and maybe we even justify those things to ourselves too by saying, well, I'm in here on Instagram because it's a work thing, when realistically it's probably not a work thing. It's just you wanting to take time out. And there's nothing wrong with taking time out, but I would just encourage you to, well, for me anyway, I want to take time out and do something that's a bit more productive. I want to take time out and do something that I know is going to move the needle more than looking at, skiing and surfing videos and sending them to all my buddies. Another thing I need to stop doing is too much. And I had an interesting experience recently where I went with a good buddy of mine, and we did an ayahuasca ceremony. And for you guys that are not familiar with that, it's essentially a ancient Peruvian ceremony which involves a shaman, and it involves a concoction which you drink, which is essentially like a hallucinogenic a drink, basically, substance, and it helps you access parts of your subconscious. And that's why I went there. I was like, I want I want to get some answers around how I can be more productive and how I can stop procrastinating and how I can stop wasting time and how I can make faster decisions. And, I had all these ideas in my head, and the outcome of that experience, which for the record was absolutely amazing. And I can't recommend it enough, truthfully, but the outcome of that experience for me was, I was basically told I need to slow down. And it's sometimes things that it seems obvious now in hindsight when I reflect on it. But at the time, I'm wondering how I can do all of these things and do them better, when the reality is I just need to slow down and focus more and do one thing better and then move on to the next thing. And so that's that's a hard thing to do, like, especially in business, when you feel like when you literally do sometimes have, so many different things you need to get done. Like, for me personally, I know I need to take the time to focus and work on the thing that's going to actually move the needle, as opposed to all the other things that I think are going to move the needle. And sometimes you just get caught up in this cadence of pleasing other people. And that's really not what it's about. You need to stick to your guns, and you need to have a strategy. And so, one of the things that I'm going to start doing better is more of that focus and more of those strategic personal, goals and strategies, like, that align with, things that I want to get done and so on and so forth, because I'm very good at that with business. But for some reason, I'm not sure why, I kind of dropped the ball with it on the personal side of things. And like I said earlier in this recording, excuse me, they are very closely tied. So, the rising tide floats all ships. You've got to make sure that you're ticking these things off on the personal level also. So the things I want to start doing more, I want to get more productivity help, and that might sound a bit counterintuitive to what I just told you, but in the interest of doing less, I want to find something that can help me systemize that side of things. So I recently started using a tool called Motion, which my coach recommended to me. Shout out to Troy. And that's been good, because essentially that I can put down all the things there that I need to get done. I can put a priority to them, and then I can just work on one thing to get it done. And then when it's done, move on to the next. And so that's been quite helpful. And there's lots of other tools like that. And if that is a problem for you, then I encourage you just to check out some of these things, because, like, whatever that experience is that you're having at the moment, whether it's, especially if it's, not so great, chances are there's a way to remedy it if you go looking for it. So the point of that was so that it can help maintain better focus and better time management. So, the things that I'm trying to tick off there for stop doing is the procrastination, the time wasting, and doing too much. And, with this great productivity tool, I'm able to not procrastinate because I know what I have to do next. I'm not wasting time because I know what I'm going to do next, and it plugs into my calendar. So it says at this time you do this. And then by doing too much, again, you're not doing that either, because you're just working on one thing at a time. So that was a great way to sort of sweep a lot of things that I want to stop doing off the plate. As I mentioned, setting more business goals and taking, yes, so that reflects all different levels: fitness, personal, like finances, family, my family experiences, like all those kind of things. I need to start developing better frameworks around those, and that's what I'm sort of working towards at the moment. And then taking more of that personal time, it's very hard, especially if you guys out there, which I'm sure most of you, or a lot of you anyway, if you have families like I do and little kids, and you don't really find a lot of time at the end of the day to take to yourself, and I think it's important that you do that. And whatever that looks like, if it's training at the gym, or if it's going for a walk or going for a surf, or whatever you want to do, I think it's very important that you do take that time for yourself, because you kind of need to reset, and I think it's so easy just to get caught up in the doing that we sometimes, we neglect that. And I think that's probably the one thing that you'll find when you do take that time to reflect, and you do have that more personal time, it's normally where your best ideas come. And I don't know why that is. I guess it's just because you're out of the zone, or you're just you're not in front of you staring at a computer, or you're not up a ladder, or you're not on a roof, or whatever it might be. But, I see it all the time. I'll go for a walk and just come up with these ideas, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. And then I write in my note taker on my phone, or whatever it might be, The other thing I need to start doing more of is reading again. I used to do a lot of reading, and recently it's sort of slowed down a bit. And if I'm honest, probably because the last 6 months have just been so chaotic And at the end of the day, I just want to sit down in front of the TV and watch a show and then go to bed. And I think that's been a mistake, truthfully. I think I need to get back to reading. So that's a big priority for me looking forward. I want to really get back into the reading and the learning. What I'm going to keep doing is prioritizing health and prioritizing my family, being a good dad, being a good husband. Those things are never, ever done. They're always a work in progress. And I think having some goals and some structure around, things that you're working towards in those arenas is very helpful. It's, if you don't know where you're heading, how do you know if you get there, kind of thing. So I think for you guys that perhaps are not prioritizing health due to whatever those reasons are, maybe you're busy with work, maybe you're just thinking you're busy. Like at the end of the day, like life is life. You just have to make time for these things. And it's really important that you do, because if you're unhealthy, at the end of the day, nothing else matters. Like everything will suffer if you are not healthy. So if that just means even taking the dog for a 45-minute walk every day or whatever you have to do, I really encourage you to do that, because it does make a huge difference to all areas of your business. And I mean, there's no doubt out that many of you guys are really great with your training and you're really great with keeping healthy and prioritizing your health. And you know how good you feel after you get back from a gym session or you get back from a run or whatever it is. Like the endorphins are just pumping. For those of us that sometimes just get stuck behind screens or stuck in the office or whatever it might be, like you need to get out. You need to make sure that you take the time to get away from that. So on a business perspective, stop, start, and keep. Like the last year has been extremely. It's been a big year, I'll say that. We've had a huge amount of changes, and I spoke about this on some previous podcasts. But like I essentially decided to burn the business to the ground and start again, because I wasn't happy with the outcomes that we were delivering, and so I had to go back to the drawing board and redesign the way that we packaged and we delivered and fulfilled on our services over at Tradie Web Guys. And I knew when I did that, like I knew I was digging my own grave. I knew that was not going to be a smooth transition. We were going to have a huge amount of staff turnover. We were going to have clients leave. We are going to have all this kind of stuff. And that is what happened. And it was stressful, I'll be honest. It was a very stressful journey in 6 months. But coming off the back of it now, like I can see that it was the right thing to do. And we've got a bunch of amazing new clients. They're always coming in. We're always growing. We're getting these incredible results for clients, and they're just so happy. And the team can see now the advantage of it, although none of them really wanted to do it initially because they were so comfortable. And when I burnt that to the ground, it also meant that all that was going to get shaken up, and it did. And truthfully, a lot of them left, and a lot of them are leaving, and we've had to get new team members, and that's the dynamic, and that's not a fun thing to do. But the reason I tell you this is because, like, I think so often we do get comfortable in business, and that you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting, and like being stuck in that place, although it's comfortable, it's not healthy because you're not growing, and you need to be. Sometimes you really need radical change to move the needle. As a result, we're probably likely going to double the business this year or come very, very close to it. And, it was just a result of sticking to the game plan. And I knew it was going to get rough, and I knew it was going to be up and down. But if you strategize these things and you have a plan, you'll be amazed at how, I won't say easy, but like the journey to get there is so much more easier to digest, because you have the plan, you have the strategy, and it's just a matter of doing the thing. So the things I'm going to stop doing in business are really entertaining mediocrity. And this was something that I noticed, with a lot of the things that we were doing within the business and the way that some of our staff were working and operating, it was just mediocre. And it was my fault. I'll absolutely throw my hand up to that, because they weren't being managed properly. But it has to stop, and it had to stop. And it's still not 100% perfect, and truthfully, it never will be. But, for as long as you're willing to accept, mediocrity at some sort of level, and truthfully, that mediocrity, like when people look in, it might not look that way, but if you deep down don't believe it yourself, then that's a big thing. That's something you need to confront. And so when you're talking about, setting these standards, you've got to set standards that you believe in, and you've got to be like, no, I want to be better. I want us to be better here. We can be better here, and this is how we can do it. And so and then the other big thing that I want to stop doing is, like, I mean, I'm not that I'm super focused on them, but I want to be less focused on lag metrics. And by lag metrics, I mean things like, turnover, or, like just stuff that is a result of something else. So when you're looking at lead metrics, and this is something that I really encourage, especially with our clients that we're working with, it's not about getting you guys, if you shouldn't set a goal to be, 100 or 200K, a month business. Like, the goal should be, we need to sell this many units at this price point in order to get, and then the outcome is we're at 200K a month. So I think too often people get caught up, and especially on a bigger scale, like if you go, well, I want to be a $3 million business or whatever, like, that's great, but you've got to be able to tie lead metrics to that. We need this many leads. We need to be closing at this rate. We need to be selling at this price point, this many of them. And then the outcome is your $3 million a year business, right? So, yeah, the thing I'm going to stop really doing is focusing on those lag metrics and really start focusing more on some more of those lead metrics. Things I want to start doing more is equipping my team better. Now, as we grow and as we have, more team members coming into the organization all the time, and we're not a huge business, there's only like 20 of us or something, but new people are coming in all the time now because we are growing again. And, I need to make sure that as a leader, they're equipped. So it's a big focus for me looking forward. It's like, how do we make sure that we're equipping these team members to be the best they could possibly be within this position, so that it's not a scenario of them like not doing the job, or they can't do the job well, they leave or whatever it is, and then they get blamed for it. Like, realistically, as leaders, we need to make sure that we are equipping our team with everything they need for success. Same with our clients. When we have new team members or new clients come on board, like, what's their onboarding look like? What is their experience, their journey, their communication? How can we constantly look to improve these different things? And again, sometimes when you're in it and you're stuck in it, it's very hard to see it. So I think it's important to ask people, and even ask people that are going through that process, how could we have done this better, or how could we do this better, or what, is there something here that you think would help in relation to this part of what we're doing here? Just get some outside perspective. I'm going to start building my community again. We've got a 6,000 plus strong Facebook group over there, and I'm just never in there because I'm so busy in the business. So, now with our new team members coming on board, that's going to be a big focus for me. That community is fantastic. The conversations there were, outstanding at one point, and I need to get that back. And I'm sure everyone that's part of that will warmly embrace that. I need to develop stronger leadership skills. Like, I need to start becoming a different leader. And there's a very big difference between building a $1 million business and, leading a $1 million business to leading a $10 million business. And if you want to get to that point, then you need to make changes, and you need to embrace those changes, and you need to learn. So the thing that I need to do a lot more of in that space is getting more insight, getting more education. And this is why, I was saying I want to read more books, and, you need to find where those problems are, or where those areas are that you want to expand into, and you need to go and get that information. And truthfully, this is one of the reasons why we launched the podcast. It's like just a tool for you guys to, okay, well, I need help on something, or I need, maybe one of these podcasts, or maybe something I say in this podcast will tweak something in your mind. You'll go, you know what? I need to become a better leader. Where am I going to find information on that? Where am I going to find books on that? Where am I going to find coaches on that? Where am I going to find a program on that? Whatever it might be. So, that's a really big thing, like where the resources come to help you get to the weakness that you're trying to improve. Focusing and strategizing harder. So, I'm pretty good at this, but I think one of the issues that I think, truthfully, I'm maybe not setting big enough goals now. Like, I find that we're sort of pretty consistently hitting the ones we set, but maybe that's because they're not big enough. And so now I'm going to go back to the drawing board and redesign what that actually looks like. I want to know, okay, well, what is the actual potential here, and what does that look like? If I break that down, is what I'm doing today going to help me get there? Probably not. So what do I need to do today, if I can reverse engineer that, to enable me to get to that outcome, whatever that outcome might be? So what I'm going to keep doing is staying accountable. Like, I have I have a coach. I have a couple of coaches actually, and accountable to those guys. Got a personal coach as well who's helping us with some frameworks and things around that. So keeping accountable to those sort of people and organizations is always helpful, especially for me. I find that if I say I'm going to do something, I'll typically do it. But if I say it to myself and no one else knows, then sometimes I won't. Always working towards improving everything. I just like going through things, and I do this, but I probably need to do it more. But I've put it under keep because I do it. Just combing through things and trying to figure out how can I improve that part, or is there a bottleneck here? What happened? How do we improve that part? I'm going to keep doing work that I'm proud of, and this is a huge thing because if you're not excited to get out of bed and go do the thing, then, and more importantly, if your team can't buy into that vision, then what's the point? You just end up selling a fallacy. So, and if that's relevant to you, and by the way, guys, I think if you're honest with yourselves, a lot of the things you do out there, you probably would like to do a little bit different. There's things that you could do to improve it. And you guys are smart, take the time to figure that out, because if you do sit down and you strategize it, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can come up with a better solution. Like I said earlier, learning and seeking more help and counsel, whatever that looks like. If I'm to get to here, I need to change. I need to evolve. I need to develop. So I've got to figure out what here looks like first of all, and then I'm going to figure out, well, who do I know? What resources are available to me to help me get to that point? And then, like I said before, setting bigger goals. So, you guys have probably heard podcasts in the past where we've talked about that goal setting formula. And I think if it is kind of new to you, where I would start is go grab a coffee and a pen and paper and sit down and think, okay, in 12 months time, and you can even do this exercise truthfully where you write it in the present tense for you in 12 months time. So I now run a $1.5 million business, plumbing business. I've got a great general manager, these kind of things. And it might sound a bit woo-woo and a little bit rainbows and unicorns, but it's quite powerful. And off the back of that, what I would do is say, okay, cool. Well, if this is the business, if this is, my $1.5 million plumbing business with a general manager, then this is where I'm at right now. And now I just need to join the dots. So what does that look like over the next 12 months? Well, let's break it down, first of all, into quarters. So, okay, by quarter, 1, 2, and 3, what needs to be done here so that I'm on track to that? And then underneath quarter 1, 2, and 3, let's break them down into months. What needs to be done month 1, month 2, month 3, and then break it down into weekly actions and daily tasks. Because what you'll typically find is, and this is super common, if we want to get to, X amount of annual turnover with a 35% profit margin, we only need to sell 2 of these units at this price point a week. But when you look at it from a bigger picture and you go, right, well, we're currently doing $300,000 and we want to get to 1.5 million, it's almost too big to comprehend. But when you break it down into bite-sized chunks, you can't believe how easy the thing is you have to do. It just makes it's almost pathetic, truthfully. And in almost every instance, you'll hit it. Trust me, if you stick to the game plan and you break it down into bite-sized chunks, in almost every single instance, you will hit it. So anyway, that's the stop, start, keep formula. That's sort of where I'm at now after, recording 400 episodes of the podcast. I'd encourage you guys, if you want to go, if you're interested, go check out episode 300 where I dive a little bit more into specifics. That was a really well-received podcast. This one I've sort of gone a little bit more on the angle of, okay, well, things that holistically that we can an approach and remove and, that kind of style. Yeah, episode 300, I'll put some links to it in the show notes, is where I dive a lot deeper into some of the different areas of business and things that I've actually, learned and been able to implement along the way. But if you are tuning into this episode, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying it. Although I guess you wouldn't be tuning in if you don't enjoy it. And I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys too. So please, send me some information, send me some emails, or let me know what you want to hear more of. Again, we just create this content to please you guys. So whatever you think is going to be valuable, or if there's anything that we've missed, let us know what it is, because we'll get it done. We do it all the time. So anyway, that's all from me. Thank you once again. And But I hope that you guys can set some game plans and some strategies looking forward, which can really help move the needle. And if you do, let us know. Head over to the Facebook group. It's called The Site Shed. Join it. I'll be in there soon, I swear. And I look forward to chatting to you guys in there.
New Zealand-based home renovation company, 6,593% ROAS. Sydney-based solar company, 2,700% ROAS. Hunter region-based bathroom renovation company, 5,616% ROAS. Melbourne-based building company, 13,182% return on ad spend. Adelaide-based solar company, 2,881% return on ad spend. Guys, the list goes on and on. If you're a trade-based business and you work with projects like roofing, solar, bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, anything like that, head across to tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Book in a conversation. It is game changing.